Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my next Voltron episode reviews. This one is going to be my first couple of reviews for the episodes from Season 2, which was just released today on Netflix. And in this video I'm going to cover the first 3 episodes of Voltron Legendary Defender Season 2, which are Across the Universe, The Depths, and Shiro's Escape. I have not seen any of the other episodes yet. I've literally just watched the first 3 episodes and I'm recording this video as my initial impressions, reaction type thing. And I'll do more of these over the next coming days to complete the season. So yeah, first episode, and I suppose general thoughts on the start of Season 2. I think it's been pretty solid so far. I think episode 3 was a big highlight. That was a really good episode in terms of properly getting the plot of the season going, whereas the first 2 episodes as the kind of aftermath to the end of Season 1, I don't think quite has as much impact as I perhaps expected. The idea of like separating everyone and kind of them having to kind of rebuild the team and potentially getting some character development out of that, I think was okay the way it was done, but really didn't feel massively important. Like, it really felt with the first episode that, like, okay, they had Keith and Shiro together and that was meant to kind of be somewhat meaningful. But then the Allura and Karan stuff and the castle, and to some extent the Paige stuff on her own, they kind of made it more of a joke than like a way to kind of develop the characters on their own, give them time on their own, not necessarily with the other characters. Instead it kind of ended up, like, as I said, the Allura stuff especially kind of, it got towards some pretty interesting stuff character-wise towards the end. But primarily it was just a joke to kind of have Karan, to kind of de-age Karan and show him at various points in his life, which was fun to see the various stages of him, and that like he's a very kind of specific character at this age that he is, and then to kind of see that like he's this character who kind of morphs from like being the kind of these like stereotypes, like when he was in his kind of prime, like looked like it was like his mid-20s, maybe 30 something. And he was all muscly. He was kind of that kind of standard muscly guy. When he was a teenager, he was your typical teenager with the whole "you don't understand me" thing. And then you get to see young Karan, baby Karan, and just have Allura not de-age and kind of experience this was pretty fun. And then I suppose part of why I didn't necessarily love it was just because I was kind of questioning in my head, are they ever going to explain why Allura didn't de-age? Like, everything else was changing, but not her. Is there something notable about her that, like, stops this from happening? And that, like, okay, she was kind of... her father saved her and she was kind of asleep for, like, 10,000 years. Is that something to do with it? I was kind of thinking a couple of times, like, are her earrings, like, special in that, like, they stop, like, time-space stuff from happening? Or what? Because otherwise it just feels like that was just a kind of gimmick to have Allura see Karan at different ages as like a joke, and they kind of put to the side the logic of everything, and then just had this kind of jokey situation happen. I liked the Paige stuff in terms of like, oh cool, these really cute little kind of caterpillar fluffball animals, and she kind of uses them as a kind of way to kind of get across this idea of like, initially she's like, oh, some time on my own, this is actually going to be quite fun, but she really quickly realizes that she's come to really see that group as like her family, and it's quite important to her. So when she starts kind of like doing the voices for all of them and kind of acting a play out, you kind of see that she has really come to appreciate being around all these people and is actually lonely without them. Whereas I think before she potentially kind of isolated herself a little bit from the group because of her secrets and stuff like that, but now she really is a part of the group and needs them. And really cool moment as she builds the giant communication tower on the Green Line, which ends up connecting her to the castle, and Paige is kind of the one who really gets the kind of reunion of the group kind of going. So I like that. I suppose the key part of the episode, the Keith and Shiro stuff. Shiro obviously injured from the end of the last season. The Lion's kind of taken out of action, but Keith's basically relatively uninjured, and just I very much got the impression here that like Keith really looks up to Shiro, which we've known before that that's a they all have huge respect for Shiro, especially Keith. Though he really kind of looks up to him and is kind of like you. It's a very important relationship for Keith. It's a little bit like, wait, are you referencing like a scene like we haven't really seen before? Because obviously we know that Keith was what, like, he was expelled from the Galaxy Garrison or something like that, and he looked up to to Shiro as like the beacon of what he wants to be in a similar way to Lance, but Keith, you definitely got the impression it was much more important. And then the line that I think Keith says, like, who knows how it would have turned out if it wasn't for you, like. I think just by watching the episode and not really thinking about it all that much, you just get the impression of like, oh, you leading Team Voltron has helped to change me a bit. Or are they referencing the fact that they've met previously and Shiro really helped Keith in some way? Or are they referencing scenes that we haven't seen yet? As I said, I'm only basing this off the first 3 episodes. I haven't seen any other season 2 episodes yet. But that's just the impression I got from that it was quite important. But then, like, an interesting thing, like, Shiro's obviously dealing with his injury, but he's also being attacked by animals. Keith has to come and get him, and in the end, they do find each other, and we get the moment where Keith pilots the Black Line to save Shiro, and Shiro basically says, if for any reason, like, I don't make it out of this situation, or I suppose, like, if I'm ever killed, he's basically saying, I want you to be the next leader if anything happens to me. Now, will that ever happen this season or not? We'll have to wait and see, as I said. Only the first 3 episodes, but that was the big moment from one of the trailers, and it was interesting that it just happened in this moment where it's actually one of the safer parts of the episode as they're waiting to be saved, and he says that to Keith. But there's that. The second episode, The Depth, is interesting that they devoted basically a whole episode to just what Keith and what Hunk and Lance got up to, while the others were dealing with what they were dealing with in the first episode. And they made it a kind of more one-off episode, an exploration of being on this planet, this kind of underwater planet, but where they initially lived on the surface, but then the seas froze over, and now they live completely underwater. And I like the ultimate mystery of just the planet that was happening here, and that you really weren't trying to do anything crazy with the characters here, but you created this mystery of, like, this life form, this kind of forest, that kind of there's a lot of brainwashing going on, and you initially think, oh, it's the Queen and the people surrounding her that are brainwashing everyone. But then the big reveal at the end that, no, it's actually the forest that's supplying them with all this kind of food and warmth that's keeping them safe. That's the thing that's brainwashing everyone to keep them underground and, like, ultimately feed itself. And so Lance and Hunk are ultimately the ones who help save the day. You got some fun stuff with Lance, with his kind of usual thing of being attracted to every, in any way, attractive female life form in the galaxy. The idea of, like, wearing jellyfishes on your head to keep out of the brainwashing waves, and the whole conspiracy theorist kind of, like, meta joke that they had going on here, I thought that was quite fun. The action was pretty good underwater, just this idea, like, the blue line really, really excels underwater. I felt one scene that didn't have a ton of impact, that was meant to have a ton of impact, was Lance's new upgrade for the blue line of the underwater sonic cannon thing. I just thought, like, the scene of that, like, activating and basically defeating the monster was kind of just like, that's it, a new power, and that's all it is. Like, no real build up all that much towards it, no crazy sound effect. It was just waves and stuff happens. And then, like, until Hunk said that it was a sonic boom, I was just kind of like, what just happened? So I thought that scene was kind of, like, really weirdly done, how they chose to showcase that attack. But yeah, fun episode, but, like, I don't think there's a ton to really go on often in that episode. At the end, they activate the beacon. The Queen is going to try better to really interact with the other planets more and become more technologically advanced. And they're saved and everyone comes back together. Episode 3, though, is absolutely the best one of the first 3 episodes. Shiro's Escape, we at the same time explore backstory for Shiro, as we also heavily advance the plot. I love that we just immediately jumped in. As Shiro's recovering from his injury, he remembers how he escaped. That a Galra soldier helped him to escape. That's how he ended up on Earth and was in place basically for the first episode. Ulos is the name of this character, and we see him introduced in this episode, but also be killed as far as we were aware. Now, they do a kind of imploding kind of space-time thing, so like the death is kind of like, did they really die, or are they just in a dimension that they maybe can't get out of? So like, there's still potential, I think, for him to come back, but realistically, the sacrifice that he made was pretty big, and just highlighting that in no way was this a sort of double-cross thing where like, he saved Shiro to ultimately take him out at a later point. No, he was kind of actually real. So the big thing here, though, the big plot point, is the rebel Galra faction, or just the people who are opposing Zarkon in the galaxy, the Blades of Malmora. I couldn't get really what this word was based on the way Ulas said it, because the voice actor like really kind of went for kind of pronouncing this like in whatever dialect he was going for, and I really didn't get what he was saying. Keith said it later on and said it in a different way as well, but I think it's Marmora or Malmora, the Blades of Malmora. I'm not really sure. Hopefully they say it a few more times and we get the full details on what exactly the pronunciation is. But really cool that we got this, and this is just one of their outposts where he meets up with them, and basically it sets up the plot. Just in one line we get the plot for basically, I suppose, most of the next part of the season. Zarkon can track you somehow until you sever that connection that Zarkon seems to have, the fact that he can track you by unknown means, which we know is because of the magic, and we assume it's either the Galra tech in Shiro's arm or the Black Line itself. They can't go to the Blade's base, the headquarters, even though they have the coordinates for it, until they sever that connection. So straight away I like that, just immediately. At some point we're going to deal with Zarkon, and then we'll get to the base, and then we can have like a more organized effort to take out Zarkon, because he controls the whole galaxy. We need more of more people on the good guy side, so I like that. And then the big fight with the new Robeast was interesting enough. The fact that he sucks in these kind of energetic crystals, fires laser beams. We got a really long Voltron fight, which was really nicely done, using the shield and all this other sort of stuff. Ultimately, Ulas sacrificing himself in the end to get the Robeast out of their way, and just setting up that Shiro is affected by the loss of this character who helped him so much, and is just set on like, we have to use the fact that he told us all this stuff about the Blades. The other big thing that happened was that he seemed to hint that at some point we're going to get information about where Pidge's brother and father are. So that's really cool. Just this one episode just dumped the plot, just completely told us exactly what's going on with the plot. And then Keith also had a really big moment where he noted the sword that Ulas was carrying and asked him about it, and then at the end he unwraps his knife, which we've seen him use a couple of times. It hasn't been emphasized all that much. He unwraps it and it's revealed that it's basically a Galra dagger because it has the same light effects on it. So the Galra Keith connection theory just keeps on rolling, and I'm excited to see how they explore that. But yeah, they're just my quick thoughts on the first 3 episodes of Voltron Legendary Defender Season 2, the first 3 episodes. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on it. Please don't spoil me on the next couple of episodes, but I'll try my best to get those videos out in the next couple of days, so you're not waiting too long for them. But that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.